It's Justin. Welcome to Live Ask Me Anything, number 85. The podcast wasn't recording, which means I didn't catch that excellent intro that I've gotten some practice at over the last 85 weeks. All right, it's a little dark. I'm sorry. I wish it wasn't so dark. So here's what happened. I got a story for you, everybody, okay? What happened was I thought that my Airbnb tenant checked out today. Not the case. My Airbnb tenant checks out tomorrow. So I went over to my house and thought that it would be empty. It was not. There was somebody there. So then I was a creepy guy pulling into the driveway. And I was like, hey, sorry, I live here. Enjoy your stay. Thanks for coming. So that means that I didn't want to go in the house, be like, hey, I need some stuff. Like I thought that I was going to be doing AMA from my house. So as you can see, I have a homeless beard because I planned on shaving and looking presentable for this Ask Me Anything. As you can also see, I don't have my ring light, which means my face is dark. So now I just have a dark face and a homeless beard. And I've been wearing this shirt for like 2 days because I live basically like a digital nomad when someone's in my Airbnb. But it's all good because the Airbnb is killing it. I did have a question about this sent to me via email today. Actually, I get a lot of questions about the Airbnb since I've mentioned it and telling you guys about just some different alternative sources of income, et cetera, et cetera. So sorry, I'm making sure that my Instagram video is posting as well to get people into this Facebook Live group. So once again, click the happy button, the love button, click the share button, share this on your timeline, tag your friends in this if you want them to see this AMA. Tag, happy emoji, laughy, love button, like all the things, okay? But yeah, so the Airbnb situation is going really well. So well that I'm considering buying another property to live in so that I can rent out the Airbnb full time because I've only had about I think this is my 5th tenant in the Airbnb and my 5th in like 6 weeks, and I have profited thousands of dollars, even though I have a management company doing this for me. So it's completely hands-off for me. That's the only way I was willing to do it. I have too many things on my plate. So the only way I was willing to do an Airbnb was to make it completely hands-off for me. I do nothing. Literally, I do nothing. I don't manage the bookings. I don't do the cleanings. I don't do anything, right? Even with that percentage taken off the top, I personally have put thousands of dollars in my pocket from this, right? So again, I don't think an Airbnb is appropriate for everybody. Not everybody can do this. I'm lucky to have family here in town. I don't like this way of just bouncing around randomly all the time. So I would like to get another place because it sucks to not have your own place. Plus I have my amazing gym and infrared sauna and all those things over there. It's cool because I travel with kettlebells. Yes, I travel with kettlebells. I travel with a steel mace. I travel with chalk. I travel with a lot of things to make sure that I have a gym on hand at all times. So I can just do gymnastics training or kettlebell trainings no matter where I am. So that's totally cool. I do miss having the big fancy gym. That's certainly awesome. I need to find a way to travel with gymnastics rings, but then I need to figure out how to rig them to the ceiling, right? But anyway, long story short, that's why I'm here. I am at my mom's house. So you guys have seen me here before, just bouncing around. Dad's building a big, beautiful lake house. So I'm ready for that lake house to be done so I can go chill over there too, which would be really nice. But I need to figure this out. I need to figure out exactly how much time I want to be out of my house. But it's such an income-bearing property at this point. It's just kind of foolish to not grab this income. I mean, literally, it's the kind of income where I don't have to work. I would like not have to work at all. And that property could literally pay that mortgage and all my bills. What the hell? It's crazy, right? So I'm really glad that I did it. It's been a fun experiment for me as an entrepreneur, as CEO. I'm constantly looking for new sources of income and unique ways of doing things. And, this is also quite beneficial in terms of tax purposes and all that. And I've had to finagle insurance policies and umbrella policies and all these different things, which has been actually quite beneficial in the long run. So it's just a learning experience for me. It's been really nice for me to just kind of be really creative in planning finances and investing and all these different things. So very, very cool stuff. Anyway, that's not what you guys are here for. You're here for AMA number 85. So I got some notes here. I had some amazing questions sent from you guys that sent me questions, ama.iamclovis.com. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. So we're going to dig in. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. The winter season is coming to be upon, fall season is coming to be upon us. And people had a lot of questions about immune system and things like that. So we're going to dig into immune systems. We're going to talk a little bit about flu shots, influenza vaccinations. Let's call it that. Influenza vaccinations. How do you feel about them, Justin? So we'll talk about that. And then I got an overwhelming response from last week's AMA, in which I talked about my experiences with ayahuasca and psychedelics. So I went live in the groups. If you're not part of the groups, you can go to the Clovis Academy on Facebook, which is the free private group. And then there's I Am Clovis, which is for paid members only. If any of you have asked to be accepted to that group, I always run a check to see if you're a paid member. So if you haven't been accepted, sorry about that. But anyway, so a lot of people were just like, talk more about psychedelics. That was fascinating. I looked up this video, or I looked up Michael Pollan's book, or, oh my God, I found out what ayahuasca is, et cetera, et cetera. So people seem to want to talk about that. I'm totally down to talk about that. I'm down to go as deep as you want. I can talk from my personal experience. I'm not giving you advice on what you should do. Not at all. I would never do that. I don't think that these are for everybody, and I can explain that a little bit deeper. So I am going to dig into that a little bit tonight. I'll probably end with that. So I'll jump into some of these questions about immune system, cold and flu season, winter months, what to do about it, and the influenza vaccination. So let's say what's up to some people first, then we'll dive in. What's up, everybody? What's up, Anna? What's up, Judy? What's up, Miranda? What's up, Cameron? Julianne, Laura, Joanne, Mike, Elise. Thank you, guys. That was football season. It is football season. Yeah, absolutely. What's up, everybody? Thank you guys for being here. I don't know why Facebook, I say this every week. I'm not going to say it. Well, I guess I'm going to say it again just because I just started saying it. But it's weird. It shows me the viewer number, and it's much higher than the people that I can see in the little column over here on my laptop. So it's annoying because I want to be able to say what's up to everybody, but I can't see that whole list. Strange. Okay, again, click the happy button, click the love button, click the share button. Let's dive in, ladies and gentlemen. Live, Ask Me Anything, number 85. I don't know why Instagram is not uploading. Look, there's two of me. Justin is everywhere on the internet. Everywhere. Oh, real quick update. Post-workout. I'm getting it handled, okay? A lot of the post-workout cacao is not going to get fulfilled. I'm really, really sorry. Some of you are just going to get refunds. I had way less post-workout. I finally have inventory numbers from all of my warehouses, way lower than I thought. So you guys that jumped all over the sale and bought a bazillion bags of post-workout cacao, some of you are just going to get refunded. I'm really sorry. We could get into, let's swap it for this product, swap it for that product, swap it for this. It's just better for me to refund you and you go order whatever you want with that money. So they're all $30 a bag, right? So you can go get Digest and Rest. You can go get post-workout vanilla. You can go get pre-workout, whatever you want to do. That's much easier for me to just refund you your money and have you go order other things. It sucks for me because I have to refund a bunch of money on these orders that I'm already losing money on. But again, just part of this kind of agile entrepreneur world that I live in, where I get these crazy ideas and just tend to run with them. So we'll get it all figured out. If you did order things that are not post-workout in your order, like some people ordered a bunch of Digest and Rest and a bunch of post-workout cacao, that post-workout cacao, since we couldn't fulfill it, held up the orders in the warehouse. So I promise you I'm doing the best I can. You guys know me. I work hard. I work my ass off for you every single day. Give me some grace here, okay? Most of you did give me grace. Some didn't, okay? Take it easy on me. I basically gave you bags of paleo powder for free, okay? Basically for free, below my manufacturing costs. Any other time in Clovis history, I would totally understand any kind of frustration with any order of paleo powder. But that doesn't happen in normal Clovis. You guys know this. I fill your orders like this. I fill orders faster than Amazon Prime most of the time. I take great pride in my customer service, my speed of deliveries, the way that my warehouse works. I have one of the best warehouses in the game. Not the cheapest, one of the best, right? So I pride myself on this. So I just want you guys to understand that. Thank you so much for being patient with me while I sorted this out. I simply sold way more bags than I could have ever been prepared for with my current infrastructure. So thank you. I'm always going to be transparent with you, always going to be upfront with you, tell you guys how things are going. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Some of you might get refunds. Really sorry. Okay. But anyway, moving on. Let's do the thing. AMA 85. All right. This flu shots questions. Let's jump into flu shots. Okay. It says flu shots. This is the question. Reading the question now, comments. Flu shots. I never get them, but want to spread the word to many on why not to do this. How to keep super healthy during the winter months. Herbal stuff. Medicinal ideas. Thanks if you get around to them. Peace out. Okay, cool question, but let's talk real quick about one thing. I just need to point out the one, I guess I would say, glaring problem I see with this question is this. I'm going to quote it. Just quote, want to spread the word to many on why not to do this. So be careful with this statement, okay? So I will just spoiler alert, I tend to agree with you here in terms of the influenza vaccination. I don't personally get it. But you have to be very careful with statements telling others why they shouldn't do this, right? Because you have to understand, we're talking about the immune system here. My immune system is way different than the average American kindergartner's immune system. Or my immune system is way different than the average American who's 300 pounds and has been on antibiotics 14 times in the last 18 months. My immune system is way different than the cancer patient. My immune system is way different than someone with a completely different history or life than me. You see what I'm saying? So it's you got to be very careful with these things, because if you just run around saying, I'm going to tell everyone why they shouldn't do this, then you're basically a vegan. Congratulations, right? That's not a good thing. I mean, being a vegan is not necessarily a bad thing if you're not a dick about it, you know? But the same thing goes for these influenza vaccinations and all these things, because the reason I know, I'm going to dive into this with you here. The reason I know so much about this is because I researched it years ago, because I was getting screamed at for it, right? Because I didn't trust it. So anyway, let's jump into this. I just want you to be careful. It's very tempting to want everyone else to do what you do, right? But just be careful with statements like that. Like, I'm going to tell everyone why they shouldn't do this, right? This is not medical advice. I'm not telling you what you should or shouldn't do. I can just tell you from my experience, and I'm going to tell you my research on this, which has been a bit lengthy, okay? So I don't get flu shots. I'm not saying you don't need to. I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. I used to get flu shots when I was younger, and I never had any of these like nasty side effects. Some people say that it like makes them really sick or whatever. I've never had that happen, luckily. Now, as you guys know from my recent podcast with Charles Bird, which if you haven't listened to it, go listen. I use a program called Evernote every day, and it stores all my research. So I'm able to look back on things. Like I can look back on my show notes from all 85 AMAs. I can look these things up, right? Now, a few years back, I actually went pretty deep on the flu vaccine because people were making me feel guilty about it. What happened is I was, back when I was still hanging out with heavy drinkers and drinking in bar debates and things like that. I had these friends that were nurse friends that were basically screaming in my face because I was like, I don't trust those flu shots. I'm not sure about them, but I was still getting them at the time. It was just like, I don't really know. I think I'm going to stop getting them. And I basically just got screamed at for it, right? Like these nurses were like, you're part of the problem. Blah, 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 blah. So I decided to go deep down a rabbit hole into flu shots because back then my ego was far worse than it is today. And I really cared about being right. And I wanted to be right. And I wanted to prove them wrong. So I did some research. So here's what I dug into in a nutshell. So I have some Evernote notes here, which is great. So of all the studies that I reviewed on the influenza vaccinations, and that's basically all of them because there's not that many, and it's very easy to look up meta-analyses of all of this data in one place, and I'll talk about that in a second. So basically, if you look at all the data, the total risk reduction for flu in vaccinated versus non-vaccinated individuals is around 1%. Okay? So the total risk difference is around 1%, which can basically be translated to 0, as in completely useless. So there really is no compelling clinical data whatsoever that vaccinations have really any impact at all. Again, I'm not saying you can't get them. It's totally up to you. You do what you want to do. But it's literally a risk difference of like 1%. So that's not enough for me. And what's crazy is all these healthcare professionals tend to scream about it. Like nurse friends and stuff get online and rant about this stuff. And they'll yell at me. But surveys show that something like, I think it's less than 25% of all healthcare professionals actually get the flu shot. Okay? 25%. These are people that have the most access to this at any given time, So that's crazy, right? If these people have like full-blown access to the flu vaccine every single day and only 25% are getting them, it makes you think like, do they know something that we don't know, right? It's worth raising the question. So in other AMAs, I have talked to you guys about the Cochrane collaboration. So I have notes here on the Cochrane collaboration because I cited them in the depression episode. You can check that out, clovis.show/depression. So I mentioned the Cochrane collaboration. So here's a breakdown of what the Cochrane collaboration is. This is a London-based network of more than 31,000 researchers from more than 130 countries, which conducts the world's most thorough independent analysis of healthcare research. So that's a definition of what they are. And I turn to their research a lot. I turn to their research with the depression episode. I turn to their research here. And I've written down what they said about influenza vaccinations as well, because when I cited them in the depression episode, they're the ones I cited that said there's never been a single clinical study showing that depression is caused by a chemical imbalance in the brain. This data just doesn't exist, but people continue to say it as if it does exist, which is really weird. So the same thing kind of goes with this flu shot question. So the Cochrane collaboration has determined through all of the analysis of all clinical data surrounding the flu vaccine that you'd need to vaccinate somewhere between 33 to 99 adults to prevent a single case of the flu. Now, first off, I hate this kind of language. I really hate that, studies use this kind of ridiculous language. But again, I've gone through the data and it seems to be a 1% risk difference, which is just kind of crazy, right? So anyway, that's kind of the science side of this flu vaccination thing. So I want to show you this note as well. The Cochrane collaboration is so anti-flu vaccination that they actually came out and said publicly that they wish someone would be held accountable for wasting taxpayer dollars on useless influenza vaccinations. Now, that's crazy, you guys. I've read a lot of Cochrane collaboration data, a lot of their analyses. This kind of like really strong anti-anything language is super rare. I mean, really, really rare. Like it's very rare, because you got to think, if they come out so strongly on something like this, and then 10 years down the line, data comes out that shows it's completely different, right? Then that's a big deal, because this can make them look really bad. So they looked at all the data and they are confident enough to say something like, we think that somebody needs to be held accountable for wasting taxpayer dollars. That's kind of crazy. The other thing that they point out is any and all research, basically any of the studies, there's like 15 of them out of like 39 total studies or whatever, any of them that show a positive correlation between the vaccinations and outcome were funded by companies that make the vaccinations. So like really, really funding biased. But again, you gotta be careful with this stuff. Do your own research the way that I did. I highly recommend that. Decide for yourself what you want to do. But I don't get flu vaccinations. Totally up to you if you want to. Nina comments. Nina, I love how you delve into this issue. Yes, of course. I really don't comment on issues that I don't dive into. That's just kind of the way that I go. If you guys ask me something that I don't know about, as you know, I use this term all the time, wisdom through experience. I have wisdom through experience, right? Things that I've looked into. And I have notes from the flu vaccine from years ago. I'm looking at them right now. I just like to dive into this stuff. So I'm not going to give you, if you guys ask me something and I don't know about it, I'll just tell you I don't know about it, like for sure. That's actually happened live before. People will ask me questions and I'm like, well, you just said something I've never heard of at all. Like, I'm not an expert. I'm not, I'm just a guy that's figured some stuff out. So yeah, I've gone deep on some things. That's one of them. All right, let's dig in. So this person also wanted to know, the second half of this question is this idea of how to keep super healthy during the winter months. Herbal stuff, medicinal ideas. Thanks if you get around to them. Peace out. Laura just said in here in the comments, everybody seems to know at this point that I use Host Defense every day. Host Defense, right now I use Stamets 7, which is Paul Stamets' personal blend of medicinal mushrooms. Host Defense is amazing. They have an extract as well. My Community extract is fantastic. They also have immune support sprays that you can take if you feel yourself, feel that tickle in the back of your throat, I'm going to get sick. You can do this spray. I always travel with that. When I was in Thailand, I used that spray every day just to make sure, I didn't get anything crazy. But generally speaking, my immune system is ridiculously robust and I very, very rarely get sick. If I do feel myself getting sick, I can knock it out really, really quickly with things like intranasal colloidal silver or My Community extract or immune sprays or Host Defense, all these things. So let's talk about the immune system in winter months, because this is a big deal. Everybody gets worried about this. First and foremost, I'm going to help you look at this in a way that you may not have looked at it in the past. This is what I think is happening. This is the Justin Nault Clovis hypothesis of cold and flu season in winter months. Okay, so let's talk about this. Everyone's interested in boosting the immune system during wintertime. Why? Because wintertime is comfort food time. It's comfort food season, right? So let's face it, most people eat like shit during the wintertime. It's unfortunate, but it's true, especially around the holidays, right? This is when calories in, calories out nonsense kicks up to a whole nother level, right? It's really, really frustrating. So we need help getting more micronutrients in the wintertime, and here's why. People eat a ton of junk food in the winter months. Drives me crazy. There's junk food everywhere. It's Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, candy around the office at work. There's cookies and gingerbreads and treats and all this shit at every single social event you go to. Then you got warm alcoholic drinks, eggnog mixed with Kahlua and ciders with spiced rum and blah, 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 blah. And everybody indulges in these things because it's the holiday season, and then they feel really guilty. So whenever people feel guilty about eating certain things, they eat less to compensate. And this drives me fucking nuts, okay? So this is what happens. Everybody eats this junk. They feel guilty, so they eat less. That's not a good move. Eating less because you feel guilty about the snacks you had, this is not good, okay? So what happens here is you eat the junk, you feel guilty, you eat less real food, so now you're just at a chronic caloric deficit, and virtually 100% of what you're eating is junk. And you're going, well, I ate a bunch of calories over here with the cookies, so I'm going to skip dinner, right? But what's happening here? You're not eating red meat. You're not eating lean proteins or fatty proteins. You're not eating healthy fats. You're not eating anything with micronutrients in them. So the next thing you know, you have a massive micronutrient deficiency because your diet is virtually 100% junk for months. Sure, it might only be 1,500 calories of junk because you're eating in moderation. You're eating the junk in moderation, and you only ate 1,200 calories today. Congratulations, that 1,200 calories was from nothing but sugar and processed junk. You got no micronutrients that day, and you expect to have an immune system. That's not going to happen. Have you ever stopped to think about that? This is exactly what happens here. Tell me you've never done it, right? Everybody has done this around the holiday season. You're eating virtually 100% drunk too. And then your immune system goes down the toilet, right? It's crazy. So there are some things you can do, absolutely, to boost your immune system. But first things first, you need micronutrients. The best thing you could possibly do is liver, right? Get something like grass-fed beef liver and eat 4 ounces of it a day throughout all of winter just to cover your multivitamin basis, right? That's like nature's best multivitamin. Get some liver meats. If you don't like to eat organ meats, get Paleo Valley Organ Complex. You get a discount as an I Am Clovis member, right? So get these organ complexes. Drink chicken bone broth. I have bone broth cooking in Insspot right now. You guys will see this in my Instagram stories on things that I share publicly. In the winter months, I am huge into bone broth. My bone broth intake goes way up during the winter months. My intake of fermented foods goes way up during the winter months. I eat a lot of sauerkraut. I eat Bubby's pickles and Bubby's sauerkraut. I go through like crazy during the winter months, right? So I'm trying to get those beneficial bacteria in my gut. I'm drinking the bone broth. Not only the bone broth, but I eat the bones. I put this on my Instagram stories. I eat the bones. I want the marrow. I want the ligaments. I want the collagen. I want the tissues. I want all of it. The skin. I eat the skin. Everything. Drink the bone broth every single day. I add salt to the bone broth to get my minerals, right? So this stuff is really important. You need to get micronutrients. Then the other important thing is fat-soluble vitamins. A lot of people, because they're under-eating and overeating, they're under-eating micronutrients and overeating junk in the winter months, they're not getting fat-soluble vitamins, particularly because they're not eating meats, right? So you need things like the fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K. A great way to get fat-soluble vitamins through supplementation in the winter months is something called extra virgin cod liver oil, okay? So I'll share a link with this to extra virgin cod liver oil that you guys can use. Chris Kresser has a great recommendation on this, so I'll just link to the one that he uses, which is great. So again, organ meats, bone broth, you can use Host Defense, you can use Paleo Valley Organ Complex, you can use this extra virgin cod liver oil. The other thing you want to do in wintertime, virtually everyone wants to do in wintertime, is vitamin D. You need vitamin D. You're probably not going out in the sun. Most of you are probably not going out in the sun during the freaking summertime, let alone the wintertime, right? Particularly if you live in a cold, dark area of the world. So depending on where you live, you're going to need anywhere from 2,000 IU to 10,000 IU of vitamin D. I take between 5,000 to 10,000 IU of vitamin D every day in the fall and winter months. In the summertime, I make sure I get sun on my skin. That's just something that I do. I work outside a lot. So in the winter months, I'll do as much as 10,000 IU a day. You don't need to do that. That's a mega dose. I'm not saying you need to do that. I know my physiology. I run blood work regularly, so I don't have to worry about things like that. But if you don't know, just start with like 2,000 to 4,000 IU of vitamin D. And I recommend the Thorne vitamin D plus K2. K2 is really important, so you want to get that. I like the Thorne vitamin D plus K2 drops. Again, I like fermented foods, so that's really great for your immune system as well. Just little tricks for boosting your immune system. But that said, the low-hanging fruit here is eat foods with bioavailable micronutrients. Number one being grass-fed organ meats. Like if you were to just do 4 ounces of grass-fed beef liver every day throughout the winter months, I'm not going to say you're not going to get sick, but you got a much better chance at not getting sick. Your immune system is just a matter of micronutrients mostly. It's gut bacteria plays a role. Yes, 100%. Fermented foods can help 100%. But generally speaking, this is a micronutrient deficiency issue. Everyone's running around eating nothing but junk, and they're deficient in micronutrients, and their immune system goes into the toilet. Okay? That makes sense? Makes sense? Let's look at some comments. What are your thoughts on bee propolis sprays? I don't really know. I haven't really looked into it much. I think that bee products are overrated. I gotta be honest. That's just me. I've used them in the past. I know that a lot of people love things like raw honey, and I know there are these bee sprays, and there are these different immune system sprays that are based on bees and all this stuff. Genuinely don't really know. That's worth me looking into, but I lean towards hype. I do lean towards hype, and I know that that's that might not be true. I could be completely wrong. I could do more research on this and have my mind changed. I'd like to have my mind changed. So Laura, if you have any information on this, feel free to send it my way. But I actually lean towards that being an area of hype, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm open to having my mind changed. I do love mushrooms. Mushrooms, medicinal mushrooms, host defense, Four Sigmatic. There's a ton of these really good mushroom companies now. So I would definitely look into that for boosting your immune system. Good stuff. What else we got here? Kayla, thank you for tagging people. I appreciate it. Nicole, I never thought of that. Yes, a lot of people don't think of these things. It's just a new way to look at life, what everybody tends to do. It's really, that's what I like to do. I like to bring people out of their box and help them see things from a different perspective. Because now when you're walking around inevitably in your office or your school or wherever you work, and you're eating the cookies and all the things that people brought in, Santa Claus and snowman shaped gingerbread cookies or sugar cookies, and then you go home and you're like, oh, I'm just so full from those cookies, and I feel really guilty about those cookies, so I'm not going to eat that grass-fed beef that I defrosted in the fridge that I plan on cooking when I get home, because it's just, oh God, I've just eaten so much today. Eat the grass-fed beef, okay? There's going to be consequences because you're eating far too many calories and you're overeating on bullshit junk food, but that doesn't mean that you should cut calories by cutting the health foods. That doesn't make any sense at all. But that's what everybody does in the wintertime. They cut the health foods and eat more of the junk foods because they feel guilt and shame about their emotional eating. And then they get sick, right? That's what's happening here. All right, what else we got here? Thank you for tagging people. I appreciate it. Garbage junk food. Yuck. Yeah, 100%. Nasty, man. No good. Joanne, I'm here. Welcome. What's up? Thanks for coming. Hope you're learning about the immune system. We're talking about the immune system right now, all the ways to boost it. In a nutshell, bone broth, organ complex by Paleo Valley, or you can eat whole organ meats like I do, 4 ounces of liver a day, bone broth, eating the bones, extra virgin cod liver oil for some fat soluble vitamins, lots of stuff you can do. Pretty cool stuff, right? Oh man, this is so true. Yes, 100%. Oh God, Kayla, you can explain why no coconut water. 100%. I've known you for long enough. You've worked with me long enough. Why do you think no coconut water? Super easy question. Turn it around, read the label. 100% sugar. You're drinking sugar water. 100% sugar water. And people love to talk about coconut water having electrolytes and coconut water having vitamins and minerals. You know who talks about that? Rihanna. You know who you shouldn't take nutrition advice from? Rihanna, because she's just not that bright. Okay? So coconut water is massively overhyped. It's a marketing gimmick. It is 100% sugar. Just look at the nutrition facts. It's literally all sugar. You will see virtually no vitamins or minerals listed on the label at all. If you do see electrolytes like sodium, potassium, or magnesium, it's going to be in such small amounts that you could literally take 1/8 of a teaspoon of Redmond sea salt and probably get 3 times the electrolytes in 16 ounces of coconut water, which is also going to yield you some double-digit number of sugar that's going to make you fat. So coconut water is a joke. It's a marketing gimmick. Don't use it. Nasty, right? What else we got? Cameron, the beef they sell at one of the grocery stores I go to is probably not grass-fed. No, dude, why would you eat beef raw that's not grass-fed? That's a terrible idea. No, don't do that. Oh, liver? No, don't do that. Dude, trust me, Paul Saladino is my brother, man. And I know this raw liver gang shit on Instagram and everything, right? I get it. If you're going to eat meat raw, the way that Paul does, or the way that these raw liver gang people do, you better be damn sure where your meat is coming from. I mean, if you don't know the farmer, if you haven't seen the animal that he's going to put the bolt through the head of, then you don't eat that shit raw. That's crazy, man. The only liver that I've ever eaten raw in my life. Yes, I've eaten raw liver. I've eaten raw steak. I've eaten raw ground beef, right? The only raw foods I've ever eaten, I know the farmer personally. If I eat raw eggs, I know the farmer personally. I've seen the chickens that laid the eggs. This raw stuff gets under my skin, man. You got to be careful with that stuff. You're in a different country over there. You don't know where that shit's coming from, bro. That's crazy. Don't do that. Don't. I'm sorry. I don't usually yell at people. That's a crazy idea. Don't do that. Okay. What else we got here? Laura, my immune system has been killing it since supplementing mushrooms. Love the medicinal mushrooms. Host Defense in particular is really my favorite brand. Four Sigmatic has a lot of great products too. They have a lot of like really good, hot chocolate type stuff. They have all these amazing mixes that are like very low sugar. They are sweetened with stevia. Some people have a problem with stevia. I cannot tell you how many people try to scream to me about stevia. I'm like, okay, look at the conversation we just had about flu vaccinations, right? Do you really think you've researched stevia more than I have? And you're going to teach me something about stevia and why it's so horrible? No, right? Yes, there's stevia in my products. Yep. I use stevia and other things too. Liquid stevia is in my fridge all the time, and I use it for a multitude of things. I don't have a problem with stevia, okay? Now, stevia in mega doses, if you're going to literally drink it by the ounce, could be a problem. But anyway, and the only reason that I'm ranting about this is because Four Sigmatic uses stevia in all of their flavored blends, and I think they're delicious, like really, really good stuff. Their hot chocolate's really good. They have like cookie dough flavored stuff. They have this like golden milk turmeric flavored with medicinal mushrooms in it. Four Sigmatic has some killer stuff, man. You know what? I need to set up an affiliate link with them and get you guys a discount. I'm going to work on that. Actually, I'm going to use my to-do list right now as I taught you guys in the Charles Bird episode. I'm going to set up a Four Sigmatic account, and I'm going to get you guys a discount as I Am Clovis members because I've actually met the founders of Four Sigmatic many times. So we'll set that up. All right. What else we got here? Kayla, what about water completely out of the actual coconut? First off, nobody's doing that. Nobody's actually doing that, right? You're not going to do that every day. It's just not going to happen. If you're like in a tropical island somewhere and somebody cracks open a coconut for you and you want to drink the water, go for it. Have at it. But that's not what 100% of, 100% of coconut water that you get in a bottle at the grocery store is garbage. Don't drink it, okay? So in the outlier chance that you're someplace where they crack open a coconut for you and you want to drink it, sure, go for it. But that should be a very, very rare occasion. And the water in that coconut is still going to be loaded with sugar, 100%. What else we got here? Got to go buy some beef liver. Yes, everyone should get beef liver. Grass-fed liver, I got to ask around. They sell it at Whole Foods? I don't know, man. Go check. I don't really shop at Whole Foods. I get all my meat from local farmers. What else we got? I'm looking into getting a meat grinder so that I can make my own liver sausage for eggs with breakfast. I can't stand liver by itself. That's a great idea. Totally great idea. And liver by itself, I hated liver. I hated liver for years. And then I talked to this guy in Croatia that just convinced me. He was like, dude, all humans love organ meats. We've eaten them throughout all of time. Our taste buds have just gotten away from them. So Laura, I'm going to use a politically incorrect term here, and I'm going to say man up the way that I did, because I hated liver so much it made me gag. I couldn't get the taste out of my mouth for days. I hated it. And I forced myself to just sear on both sides for about a minute on each side. I'd eat 4 ounces of grass-fed liver by itself every day with nothing but sea salt on top. Hated it. Took me about 14 days of this, and now I don't feel right if I don't have liver. I crave the taste of it. I love it. My body can't get enough of it. I feel like a superhero when I'm on it. My workouts are better when I'm on it. My sleep is better when I'm on it. Everything about my life is better with organ meats. So they are non-negotiable for me anymore, but I had to actually train myself to like them. I had to get over it. I had to force myself to do it. What else we got here? That's my farmer's market in Hawaii. Yeah, if you're in Hawaii and they have it in the farmer's market, it's still loaded with sugar, I assure you, okay? So I know that you're wanting to get an answer that says coconut water is good for you. I'm not going to give you that answer. I'm just not. This should be very, very rare. If you want to kick your ass completely with like some glycogen depleting workout and then go there post-workout and get some coconut water, sure. Should it be a part of your diet? Nope, not at all. Should not be. What else we got here? All right. cool. We caught up on comments here. If you guys have any other comments, remember, you can ask me questions here as well. If you have questions, ask me some questions, throw them in here. I'll answer them, and that'll be cool. So we got some time left here, 20 minutes, and we're going to dig into psychedelics. Whoa! Some of you may or may not have been expecting that, but I figured I actually expected it after last week's episode because I dove in quite a bit. By the way, this is Mountain Valley sparkling spring water because I had Amazon Prime now delivered to my house from Whole Foods inside of 2 hours. So that's actually the only time that I shop at Whole Foods is online because Whole Foods is in Green Hills and Franklin here in Nashville, and that's a nightmare. Traffic is so bad, you couldn't get me there with a gun to my head. So there are certain things that I'll buy from Whole Foods, namely Bubby's Pickles, Bubby's Sauerkraut, and Mountain Valley Spring Water. In this case, I ran out of good coffee beans, so I got some bulletproof whole bean coffee, all shipped to my house within 2 hours for $6. What? Best $6 I ever spent. Amazon Prime now is crazy. Super legit. All right, let's dive in. Psychedelics. So I want to talk about this, and I want to give some caveats here. So when I talk to you guys about psychedelics, I'm not saying you should do psychedelics. I am not saying you should do anything illegal. Psychedelics are very illegal in the US of A, okay? So if you partake in them, it is very, very illegal. Understand that. I'm not saying you should do this. I'm not saying psychedelics are for everybody. They've been a huge part of my personal development, but that's just me. I'm a particular type of person, and we're going to get into that. Let's dig into this. I took a lot of notes here because this is really important, okay? So, important notes on ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is not a vine. So people look at this like the ayahuasca root, like this vine, and they think that that's the psychedelic. That's not the case. So DMT exists in thousands of plants all around the world. Your neighborhood is full of DMT. This is why they actually can't make DMT illegal, because they would have to cut, slash, and burn half of nature to get rid of DMT. I mean, DMT is in countless plants. Most notably, the acacia bush is probably the most potent source of DMT in nature. There's actually some that believe the burning bush, the story of Moses, the burning bush and him speaking to God, was actually an acacia bush that was burning and he was tripping on DMT. This is an actual, like, some scholars actually think that this is the case of that story, that if you believe in Moses, you believe Moses was actually a person. If you believe that these stories are telling the truth, he stumbled upon a burning bush and meets Jesus and talks to him. DMT is called the spirit molecule. Lots of people that consume DMT in these different ways that I'm about to talk to you about do meet beings or meet what they consider to be their maker. I have been under the influence of ayahuasca and actually been face to face with someone that I can only describe as Jesus. So you could watch, there's actually a movie on Netflix you can watch called DMT, the Spirit Molecule. It's a documentary, so you can look that up. But anyway, so there are these plants that contain DMT. Your stomach has something called MAO digestive enzymes. These MAO digestive enzymes break down the DMT in plants. So you could literally eat pounds and pounds and pounds of DMT containing plants, and you will not trip out at all. These MAO digestive enzymes will break down the DMT and excrete it from your system. So the ayahuasca vine doesn't contain the psychedelic. The psychedelic is contained in the plants. The ayahuasca root, that bark or the root that you use, actually contains an MAO inhibitor. It shuts off that digestive enzyme in the stomach. So you're actually disabling, right, this MAO inhibitor, disabling the MAO digestive enzyme. So you're mixing the root, you brew it. I've actually brewed DMT in the jungle in Peru with shamans, right? So you cook it in a big vat, you put all the DMT containing plants in there, you smash up the root with a hammer, you cook it all together, and then you consume it as a tea. So you're consuming the MAO inhibitor, you're consuming the DMT from the ayahuasca. This allows the DMT to enter your digestive system, and you have an experience that can last usually like 3 to 4 hours, depending on if you just drink 1 cup and just hang out and wait, 1 dose, you're gonna have it about 3 to 4 hours. But the thing to understand is this can interact with modern medicine, particularly anti-anxiety medications and antidepressants, SSRIs. So if you go, this is why I recommend, if you're ever going to do ayahuasca, go to a very good retreat. I went to a place called Spirit Quest. You can look up Spirit Quest, very famous retreat in Peru. So go to this place and they're going to send you a dieta. This is a diet that you have to follow for many, many weeks prior to your ayahuasca experience. And after the ayahuasca experience, you are also recommended to stay in this diet. Now, I did it, and this is a very low salt diet, very low red meat diet. They're really, really specific about these things. And if you're on antidepressants, you have to be detoxed completely from those medications before you arrive at the retreat center. Now, they bear no liability for your safety, so you just need to be honest with them. If you show up there and you tell them you're on SSRIs, they're not going to let you partake. Right? So it's really important. These are things that you need to understand. I researched psychedelics for over a year and a half before I ever had an experience with them. That's really, really important for you guys to understand. Okay. So let's dive in. Let me see, comment here. Would you ever consider doing a Just Justin episode on this? Your experience and journey through your spiritual growth? Yeah, I probably will. I think I will do a Just Justin episode on this. And but it'll a lot of this I'll just get out in AMA fashion because this is just more of like the sciencey stuff. But yeah, my growth and experiences, yeah, we could talk about that. And I save all my journals from all those experiences and everything, so I could go deep in a Just Justin episode. But the other thing you remember here, and I want to point this out, I'm not some crazy hippie dude, okay? So their MDMA and psilocybin are both in stage 3 clinical trials in America. That is crazy, right? MDMA has been shown to cure PTSD in soldiers, cure, C-U-R-E, cure PTSD in soldiers in one session. One session, okay? So these soldiers get one session with MDMA, and then they're there with a trained traditional therapist, and that therapist walks them through it. They're sitting in quiet with an eye mask. There might be some music on. They're speaking through it. They have a therapist with them, and then they go back for multiple sessions of just therapy without the psychedelic. So traditional therapy, in my opinion, is also key to doing this for personal growth. And that's what I do. I've been seeing a traditional therapist for over 2.5 years now. She knows about my psychedelic experiences. You can find therapists that are up to date on the research, that understand what you're doing, that won't judge you for it. They just can't say these things. You know, they'll say it behind closed doors. So you got to do your research on the therapist as well. But PTSD, if you have somebody in your life that's a soldier that's dealing with PTSD, there's no reason you shouldn't know about this. There's no reason you shouldn't know about stage 3 clinical trials for MDMA. Then you have psilocybin. Incredibly effective for addiction, okay? So I'll give you an example. One study that they did with psilocybin where in cigarette smokers, a full year later, 80% of participants had not relapsed with one single cigarette. Hadn't had a single cigarette. Over 80% of them. One session with psilocybin, which is the primary ingredient in magic mushrooms. This stuff is crazy, everybody. You need to know about this. If you don't know about it, inside of 5 years, you will know about it because every pharmaceutical company in town is going to be trying to come up with ways to patent it, even though they can't because it's plant medicines. But we're in for some serious, crazy couple of years. I'll give you another example. LSD, a man-made synthetic psychedelic. LSD was heavily promoted by the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous believed in LSD so much that he thought LSD should be part of the treatment for alcoholics to get them to cure their alcoholism. Now, by that point, Alcoholics Anonymous was a big enough organization that they fought back against him and did not like that idea and said, no, we are anti all drugs. There's no classification, no nuance, no details matter, none of that. They just know there's no way we can say that. He was a firm believer that LSD would have a staggering success rate. Alcoholics Anonymous success rate is really not anything to write home about. I think psychedelics have proven to be the most effective treatment of addiction on planet Earth. And if you don't believe me, go listen to Tim Ferriss's episodes. I'll link to them in the show notes here. He just released a podcast about the biggest psychedelic research center in the world ever being opened up. Tim Ferriss invested $2 million of his own money in this, and they are just reversing and curing these insane mental health issues that we just have abysmal success rates with traditional treatment. It's really staggering, okay? So I want to dive more into details here on psychedelics because details matter, details matter, details matter. I've gotten messages this week from a lot of people that are like, I did psychedelics when I was younger. Been there, done that. No, you haven't. Okay? No, you haven't. You need to understand that. No, you haven't. If you're 40, you're 50, you're 60. Oh, yeah, Justin, I did psychedelics. I took mushrooms once and I went to a Pink Floyd concert. Yeah, I've been there, done that. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm going to link to a video in the show notes that will walk you through the importance of set and setting and dosages, okay? So this video is with Dennis McKenna, who is the brother of Terrence McKenna, who's one of the most famous psychonauts of all time. Terrence McKenna is notorious for his research on psychedelics and is involved in a lot of things that went down with psychedelics in the 70s. And did a lot of things wrong, and is part of the reason why they went down into Schedule 1 being illegal drugs. But you can look into that, look into Terence McKenna. So what we're going to talk about right now is dosage. Yes, you can go to a concert on a gram of mushrooms and have a grand old time. You can go to a concert on 50 to 100 micrograms of LSD and have a grand old time and think you took psychedelics. You can even smoke 10 milligrams of DMT and see some pretty colors and shapes and some Egyptian pyramids and think that you've tried psychedelics. You have not. I assure you, you've done recreational psychedelics, which is not something that I promote, not something that I endorse. It's safer than alcohol, that's for sure. So, I mean, have at it if you want to. I don't really like psychedelics in a recreational setting. I like them in a different way. So this is what I'm talking about. My experience with psychedelics. I have no interest in recreational psychedelics, okay? I've done this a couple times and didn't love it. You guys know me by now. I am a little bit of a masochist, I must admit. I am in a lot of pain right now because of a kettlebell workout that I did today where I was just stressed out and felt the need to kick my own ass. I have been this way for a long time. I don't know how to undo that wiring in my brain. I am a bit of a masochist, right? So much so, if you were to tell me that there's like solid clinical data, like, hey, Justin, if you drink 16 ounces of pure gasoline every day and you'll live to be 150, I would do it and I wouldn't even flinch. This is the way that I am about things. That's why my biohacking has gone so deep and I've done so many crazy things, is because I just kind of like these extreme things. So my dad's the same way, actually. He's, we love cryotherapy. We love saunas. We love ridiculously hard workouts like ARX. We love cold plunges. We love Wim Hof breathing. We love all this crazy stuff. I am also a fan of therapeutic psychedelic use, okay? And this has been really big. So I need you guys to understand. We're going to go deep in right now, and I'm going to explain to you what I mean by this. So I'm going to share a video with Dennis McKenna explaining the different doses of psychedelics. There's a quote about ayahuasca that I really like. People compare ayahuasca, one night of ayahuasca is equal to 10 years of traditional therapy. I can vouch for that. I can vouch for that being true. And here's the thing. I did not necessarily know that that was true until I started experimenting with heroic doses of psychedelics. So in Norway, for instance, I drank 4 giant cups of ayahuasca over a 13-hour marathon ceremony with a shaman in which I did chakra clearing, I did movement practices, I did breath work, I did visualization work, we did tarot cards, we did journal readings, all of these things, right? Over 13 hours, I drank 4 massive cups of ayahuasca, and I had my entire life play before my eyes like a freaking movie, and it was insanity. Absolute insanity, okay? That's a lot different than taking a gram of mushrooms and going to a concert. So I need you guys to understand all of my experiences, all of my personal development, massive self-growth through using these plant medicines. That's been what Terence McKenna calls heroic doses. So I am in the psychedelics game for therapeutic reasons, for rapid self-growth. I am in this for rapid self-growth. I am in this to drop nuclear warheads on my ego. That's why I'm here. That's why I have done such a tremendous amount of ego work and why I always talk to you guys about self-awareness. Ego and self-awareness has been my primary goal in life for the last 5 years. I have focused on this almost exclusively through traditional one-on-one therapy, through traditional group therapy, through heroic doses of psychedelics on multiple different continents with multiple different shamans, through rebirthing breath work, through cold plunges, through Wim Hof breathing, through sauna work, through everything that you can possibly think of, right? Any stressor on the body that can put me into an altered state. I have dealt with altered states a lot to drop nuclear warheads on my ego. And it has completely changed my entire understanding of reality, my entire understanding of what this life is. I'm telling you, right? So I'm going to tell you guys, you can take 1 gram of mushrooms and go to a concert. You cannot even fathom, if you have done that, you cannot even fathom what 5 grams of dried mushrooms in a dark room by yourself is. You cannot fathom it. It is madness. You are signing a contract with the universe that you will never be the same human. That's it. And you have to accept that. You need to go into that with eyes wide open. Understand what that is. That is where the personal development happens, right? You can smoke 10 milligrams of DMT and you can see pretty lights. Or you can choose to do what I did, which is smoke 60 grams of DMT, 60 milligrams of DMT, and be sent directly to a different dimension where you're greeted by sentient beings that speak to you through telepathy and answer questions about your life and the reason for your existence. Right? Very, very different. Now, you can take 50 micrograms to 100 micrograms of LSD and have a pretty cool experience and see plants breathing and go out and hike or whatever. Or you can do what I did, which is accidentally take 500 micrograms of LSD, which is 5 times a psychedelic dose, and hike in the Smoky Mountains for 9 hours. The most physically and mentally and emotionally challenging thing I've ever done in my life. I experienced full-blown ego death, what they call ego death, which means in my head I was convinced that I was dead on 3 separate occasions on that hiking trip. So that happened. One of the most difficult things I've ever done, and probably the experience that I am most grateful for in terms of psychedelics, besides the 5 grams of mushrooms. I am most grateful for that, which was the most harrowing experience of my entire life. So yeah, or the 4th ceremony of ayahuasca on my first trip to Peru that I told you guys about last week, where I drank 4 times a normal dose and had about an 11-hour experience. So I need you guys to understand, I have been to hell and back. I have seen the depths of my own soul. I know exactly, in my opinion, I know exactly where I'm going when I die. I know what that looks like. I've been there. Cool, right? But these are just my beliefs. I'm not saying this is what you have to think. This is what you have to do. Nothing. I can give you guys tons of resources in the show notes. Okay? I can give you tons of resources in the show notes. Neurons to Nirvana, Michael Pollan's book, Trip of Compassion. I can give you DMT, the spirit molecule. I can teach you the cosmic serpent, all about DNA and how DNA is quite similar to these molecules that we find in these psychedelic plants. It's really crazy. Guys, every single human civilization throughout all of mankind has used psychedelics. Every single one except America. And America is 85% obese. Over 100 million of us are pre-diabetic and diabetic. 72% of us are on medication for mental health conditions, right? Most people are broke. Most people can't afford a $400 emergency right now. America is in dire straits. And we are literally the only society throughout all of human history that has not used plant medicines. I want you guys to think about that for 1 second, okay? So I'm not saying everybody needs to do this, but I am telling you, I have seen many, many people that I now have friends all around the world that I consider family. And I have actual family, my actual family as well. And I've seen all these people go through the same experiences that I have gone through, and I have seen them completely transform their lives. I am not kidding. I mean, full-blown life transformation. I mean, leaving toxic, abusive relationships, quitting jobs that you hate that you haven't been able to quit for 10 years because you're too comfortable with your frickin' 401k, right? Or like me, when I got back from ayahuasca, I quit CrossFit immediately and never went back to CrossFit. I realized how badly I was abusing my body. I got out of a toxic relationship. I'm telling you. Now, most psychedelic retreat centers that are worth their weight in gold, they're going to tell you when you get home, do not make any life-altering decisions for 30 days. They will tell you 30 days, right? Integration is key. Integration is more important than the psychedelic experience. You have the psychedelic experience, but the more important part is going and seeing a therapist, talking to friends and family, being open, honest, and vulnerable, journaling, daily journaling every day, daily meditation every day, daily inner child work every day, daily quiet time, daily breath work, whatever you need to do to integrate that experience. Integration is the magic of psychedelics, not the crazy experience. It's how you handle in the back end. When you have these heroic dose moments, it's so crazy, thoughts don't even make sense in the moment. It's the integration after, these thoughts that start to flood your head. It's amazing. You just like compartmentalize every aspect of your life. Boom, you just put it all together. The big picture becomes very clear. Your reality is new. You see your reality anew. Everything is possible. The possibilities are freaking endless, right? Most of us dream so teeny, so small because America has taught you to dream small. It's bullshit, right? But integration is everything. So I'll tell you guys a quick story, and then I'm going to get into some of the comments here and the questions or whatever, right? So I was in Thailand, and I went to a great little jiu-jitsu gym, and the owner of the jiu-jitsu gym, him and I hit it off really quickly, and we started having really, really really deep talks. Then we went out to get drinks together and really deep talks. And then his wife was there, and we had really deep talks. And sure enough, I talked to them. This is a traditional couple, just normal couple that was living together. They were in Europe. I believe they were in London. And they did 5 grams of dried mushrooms, which is the Terence McKenna heroic dose of mushrooms is 5 dried grams of mushrooms. I've had that experience as well. They had the 5 dried grams experience and immediately quit their jobs, sold all of their belongings, moved over to Thailand, started their own jiu-jitsu gym, and have never been happier. They've been there for 11 years. They live like kings on very little money, and they are just happy and completely in love. They don't mess with social media. It was beautiful. It was beautiful to be around them. Absolutely unbelievable. And I can tell you there are stories like this all around the world of people who just completely transform their lives, right? It's a really big deal. But I need you to understand that for me, I'm legitimately a different human than I was 6 months ago. And I have had heavy psychedelic experiences in the last 6 months. I am a completely different person than I was 5 years ago, right? Ego, self-awareness, all these things. I see ego every day. It's very hard. Everybody has ego. I still have ego. But once you do this work and go deep on it, it's quite difficult to be around normal people. I guess I would call them normal people. That sounds super egotistical. Trust me, that's not lost on me, like how fucking arrogant that sounded. But I'm telling you, it's like once you recognize these things in yourself, it's like when you buy a Honda Civic and then you go out and you notice 10,000 Honda Civics everywhere. It's like when you've done really, really deep work, introspective work on your own awareness and your own ego, you see it everywhere. You just see people vomiting ego at everyone with every single action that they do. And it can be quite tricky to be around. Just this stuff is no joke. It's no joke. So I'll leave it at that. Anybody who really, really wants to go deep, deep, deep on this, you have to understand when you send me emails and stuff, I can't just write this stuff to you guys in writing. Like I do book coaching calls. You can get coaching calls. I think it's clovis.as.me/coaching, I believe. And I'll put that in the show notes. You can book a coaching call with me. If we do a one-on-one coaching call, I am happy to go as deep on psychedelics as you want me to. So let's jump into some comments here because I just talked for a really long time. Okay. What do we got? So true. I'm like that too. Probably talking about masochists. Hell yeah. I want to do a Wim Hof experience. You totally should. I know I worked with an actual Wim Hof instructor for cold plunges and Wim Hof breath work. Dad passed out at one point. That was super fun. You're F up. Yeah, sure. Wow, that's deep. I think I would be scared. Yeah, if you're not scared, you totally should be. You should absolutely be. I mean, you'd be a crazy person not to be scared going into this. Like, absolutely. It's for sure. I mean, on the back end, you'll be like, oh, that's crazy. I had nothing to be scared of. But yeah, it's everybody enters into a psychedelic experience scared, right? Joanne, did you experience any vomiting during ayahuasca? Curious if the special diet helped to ease this side effect. This is something I've been looking into doing, but I'm hesitant to do. Fear what I might see, find out. I'm going to do it anyway when I get the opportunity. I'm going to explain something to you guys. This is going to sound super hippy-dippy and woo-woo. If you purge a lot, they call it purging. If you purge a lot, vomiting or diarrhea or things like this during ayahuasca, it's because you need to. You have things that you need to get rid of. This is where I really enter into the woo-woo space. Some people disagree with me, whatever. I have seen these things with my own eyes. I have been part of ayahuasca experiences with myself. I have done ayahuasca 8 different times on multiple different continents. I have vomited exactly once, and it looked like this. Blech. That's it. I've experienced 0 purging. That's the depths that mine went. I've had no unpleasant bathroom trips. I've had no heavy vomiting. I am an absurdly healthy person. My gut health is off the charts. All my blood work is perfect. I was actually called an anomaly by a shaman who's been working for 50 plus years with ayahuasca. He said he had never seen anybody drink as much ayahuasca as I did and not purge. So I think Clovis, I think health plays a huge role in this if you're worried about purging. That said, if you got some deep, dark demons, you're going to purge for sure. So I've been a part of ayahuasca ceremonies with other people that are not healthy. I've been part of ayahuasca ceremonies with heroin addicts. I've been part of ayahuasca ceremonies with cigarette smokers who have abused their body their entire life, who have consumed alcohol daily, who are just have not lived well and are deep in their 60s. And I have seen full-blown exorcisms. I mean, the way that these people purge, the way that they vomit for 3 to 4 hours straight and scream and beg Jesus to save them. I literally have seen people wail at the top of their lungs, only by your grace, Lord. I have seen the fucking devil. Okay? Now, and I have seen this in the middle of the jungle in sheer darkness. So I am not playing down the severity of psychedelics. I would never do that. Okay. So I saw those things happen in a bungalow in the jungle, literally surrounded by altars of jaguar skulls and teeth. I mean, it's experiences that you can't explain to people that have not been there. Right. So yes, people purge. A lot of people purge. Yes, a lot of people need to purge. I also believe that ayahuasca, mushrooms, all of these things can heal your body on a cellular level. I think that they do something very special to the mitochondria in our cells. I really do. And there have been a lot of ailments that I have seen cured by these things. So again, I'm not going to get into that. This is not medical advice. I am not saying you should do psychedelics. I am not advising anybody to do anything illegal. You don't need to go do this, right? And I'm not admitting that I've ever done anything illegal, right? I could be making all this up. Could be making all this up. You guys don't know. I could be completely full of shit, right? What else we got? Inner child work. What do you mean by that? Look it up, dude. Get on YouTube. You can look up, there's a great book called Healing Your Aloneness that is all about inner child work. If you struggle with emotional eating, if you struggle with you just can't get healthy no matter what you do, these are psychiatric issues, okay? So human nutrition is the most simple thing on planet Earth. I have given you guys everything you could possibly want to know about human nutrition. You should be in perfect health. You have all, if you go through every one of my AMAs, there's no reason why you cannot craft perfect health for yourself. I promise you, but some people still can't. They can't stop the eating habits. They can't stop the self-sabotage. They can't stop the self-loathing. They don't have self-love. This is usually inner child work that needs to be done. So dive in and do some inner child work. I would start with healing your aloneness. Healing your aloneness also comes with an inner child workbook. And if you guys are wondering why I know about things, because this is the Healing Your Aloneness workbook. These are inner child meditations that I do, and these are actually writing down. These are courses that you write down. These are very actionable items. This is actual deep work. I do this work every day, ladies and gentlemen. I know that sometimes people think that maybe I'm like lying about these things or not actually doing these things. Like, I talk to you guys all the time. People come to me like, Justin, things aren't changing. Things aren't changing. I'm like, have you been doing X, Y, Z that I told you to do? Well, yeah, I've been doing it like, I don't know, maybe 40% of the time. Things aren't changing. Things aren't changing. Guys, I do this work every day. Everything that I tell you to do, I do every day. And I've been doing it every day for years, right? It takes work, everybody. If you want to change your work, your life, it takes daily work. It really does. Do these things, okay? Laura, building a foundation of self-reflection through daily journaling, meditation, and deep work. Yes, 100%. Actually confronting the shadow parts of yourself, I think it would be extremely beneficial to help you integrate back into society after an experience like this. You have to. It's not just extremely beneficial. It's not optional. If you think you're going to go into a psychedelic experience and walk away from it and do no integration, you should never do psychedelics, you know? So that's the thing. You're absolutely right, Laura. But I want people to understand, again, I'm telling you, this is serious stuff, everybody. This is not a joke. It's not something to just enter into lightly. You do this psychedelic work, you better put the time aside. If you can't remember the last time you sat alone in quiet for an hour writing with a pen and paper, you're not prepared for this work. Start there. Sit down without your goddamn cell phone for 1 hour in a quiet room with a pen and paper and just write down what you love. What makes you happy? If you can't do that for an hour, you get too bored and need to look at a phone or a laptop, you're not ready for this work. Do some foundational work first, okay? Joanne, thank you so much for your answer. I feel like a lot of the sites sugarcoat the purging part. They absolutely do. I believe that these things do cure us as well. It makes sense that the more you need to fix, the more you purge. Yeah, 100%. Super, super important to understand that. I mean, I'm telling you, I've seen some gnarly stuff, some really gnarly stuff. I've actually seen really close friends. I've watched close friends go through the darkest things they've ever gone through. I mean, literally in the fetal position, just crying. Yeah, I mean, it all depends, right? There's ayahuasca is going to give you what you need. So I'll give you guys an example, right? Like, I don't have any sexual trauma, right? I was never like molested or raped or beaten as a child. There are some people that are dealing with significant things that I could not even wrap my head around. Those people are going to have a horrific time with psychedelics, and they need it way more than I do, okay? I am somebody who is on a constant pursuit of human optimization. I want advanced human optimization, optimal optimization. That's great. There's no other word for me to put it. I'm just looking to be the best version of myself. But I don't have these deep, deep, dark traumas that a lot of people have. If you have deep, deep, dark trauma and you want to get through it fast, you got to face it head on. This might be an option for you. Again, I'm not telling you what to do here, but go on Vimeo, Vimeo. I will put this all in the show notes, or just Google Vimeo Trip of Compassion. So if anybody gets anything out of this episode, if you have any significant trauma in your life, go watch Trip of Compassion. Watch Trip of Compassion, book a coaching call with me. Yes, I'm going to charge you for it. It takes my time, okay? Book a coaching call with me. watch Trip of Compassion, book a coaching call with me, change your life forever. You guys know I don't hard sales pitch you ever, but that is something that you need to do. If you are dealing with emotional eating and you can't get past it, if you are trying to figure out why you keep self-sabotaging and you can't get past it, if you're trying to figure out why you date the same asshole over and over and over in every single relationship, if you're trying to figure out why your relationship with your kids sucks and you just can't seem to fix it, you got deep shit you need to work on. Go watch Trip of Compassion. Come back and talk to me, 100%. That's a good place to end this episode, everybody. AMA number 85. This was a deep one. 908. We went a little over. What else we got? Yeah. Carla, an hour. Yeah, absolutely. If you can't sit quietly for an hour, you got a big problem. Big problem. I'm assuming that you're talking about the hour I said to sit down quietly. Yes. Most adults in 2019 can't sit down for an hour. That's crazy. If you've never done a 1 hour silent meditation, you're in for a game-changing event right there. Just put away an hour when nobody else is in your house and sit down for an hour. You're going to get bored. Deal with it. You know? You guys got to do this work, man. You got to do the work, because what I see a lot of, because I get the emails and everything from you guys behind the scenes, I see a lot of people in these AMAs on my Facebook page commenting in the group saying how wonderful everything is. 3 months later, I get an email from them. Justin, nothing's working. I don't get it. And they're doing 20% of what I told them to do. They've never sat down and wrote down even a list of what makes them happy. Don't pretend, you guys. Don't be delusional. My Clovis people are not delusional. I didn't build the Clovis tribe to make you guys delusional, walking around with your eyes closed like ostriches with your head in the sand. Deal with your shit, right? It's a big deal. I could never, Carla, how dare you talk to me like that in an AMA? Are you kidding me? How long have I been working with you? How long have you known me? You could never? You could never? Is that a fucking joke? Yeah, you could. You want to know how? Do it tomorrow. Sit down, turn your phone into airplane mode, and do it for an hour. Quiet. Do it tomorrow. Send me an email. Report back to me. Never say never in one of my AMAs. Never. Why? Because I believe in you. I'm proud of you. I've seen what you have done. I have seen how your life has changed through working Clovis. You can do way more than you think you can. I genuinely love you and believe in you as a human being. Don't ever tell me you can never do something again. Never, ever do that, okay? Because I am in your corner. I have your back 100%. You can lean on me as much as you want. I'll give you as much information as you can handle, and you can do that. 100% you can do that. Don't ever say you can never do something, okay? Don't do that. That's the best advice I can give you in this AMA right now. Don't say that. Do not say that about yourself, about anything, okay? I don't even want to hear you say, I could never go to the moon. Yeah, you could. It's probably right around the corner. The way technology is going, there's nothing on this planet that you can't do. Don't limit yourself like that. That's a self-limiting belief. Don't do that. What else we got? All the information you share is extremely beneficial, but this, the work in the dark, the inner work, this is the stuff you've shared that has changed my life. Yes. Just Justin, episode number 1 on the podcast is Working in the Dark. And I will put that in the show notes, link to it. And absolutely, you guys should listen to Working in the Dark. This is very, very serious. Okay. Very serious. Carla, OMG. Okay. Yes. Do it tomorrow. I'm not kidding. Everything I just said to you is 100% genuine from the bottom of my heart. You can absolutely do that. Watch your words. Your words paint your reality. Your words are a paintbrush and they paint your reality. Every time you say never, you're doing a serious disservice to yourself. There's nothing on this planet I can't do. And if you think there's something that I can't do, tell me about it and I'll do it just to show you that I can. Might take me 10 years. You might get a message from Justin 10 years from now. Hey, remember that thing you told me I couldn't do? Just did it. Here's the video. Never say that. Never say that about yourself. Writing's therapy. Flush it down the toilet or burn it outside, then hang it. Okay. Careful. Details matter. I do journaling every day, stream of conscious journaling. That's 3 pages long. This is from a book called The Artist's Way, and I never look at it again. So I have multiple journals, okay? We're going to get real deep here. I have a day planner with journaling that I keep and go through very regularly. I have trip journals. When I go to Thailand, I journal. I keep it. I have that Thailand journal, and I also have that in Evernote. I have psychedelic journals. So when I have a psychedelic experience, I journal. I keep them. I would never burn those. I would never flush those down the toilet. No, 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 no. That is not, you can't just say that blanket about all journaling. These are different journals for different things. I'm a super nerd. I have I have journals for fitness, keeping track of fitness things. I have journals for, again, psychedelic experiences. I have journals for traditional therapy. I have jujitsu journals, right? I have multiple different journals for multiple different things, so be very careful. What else we got? Kim, psychedelics are incredibly powerful substances. Treat them with respect if you ever do them, but remember they are benevolent. Yes, they are 100% ridiculously powerful. And I also believe that they are completely benevolent. And remember, something that is worth noting here is human beings do not die from psychedelics. You will hear stories of people dying on psychedelics. This means they were incredibly irresponsible. They're not doing what Kim is suggesting here, which is treating them with great respect. So yes, there are people that have taken mushrooms or LSD and ran out in the highway and gotten killed by traffic, right? But there is nobody that has taken too many mushrooms and died. There is nobody that has smoked too much DMT and died. There is one story of somebody who smoked DMT, passed out, and choked to death on his own vomit. That was not the fault of the DMT. He had drank alcohol as well. So I'm telling you that you could take 10,000 micrograms of LSD and you would go on one hell of a trip and you would come back totally normal, assuming that it was pure, that nobody had messed with it or added anything else to it, or you combine it with anything else. There's no lethal dose for these things. What they call LD50 is lethal dose at 50. LD50 is a dose that would kill 50% of the population. There is no LD50 for most of these psychedelics. Same thing goes for marijuana. People don't die in these things, no matter what people want to tell you. If somebody tells you that people have died from psychedelics, tell them to find you the clinical research or find you the evidence and present it to you. They won't be able to. So worth thinking about, everybody. People are very scared of psychedelics, but you could easily drink a very small amount of alcohol and die. People drink alcohol every fucking day and they don't even think about it, right? But people are terrified of psychedelics. It makes no sense at all, everybody. It's just completely illogical. So I always challenge you guys to learn, unlearn, relearn. This is one of those things. Learn, unlearn, relearn. Keep your mind open. Watch Neurons to Nirvana. Watch Trip of Compassion. Read Michael Pollan's book, How to Change Your Mind. Listen to the Tim Ferriss podcast about psychedelic research. I will link to all this stuff in the show notes. Utilize this. I might just call this one clovis.show/psychedelics, so you can actually research all these things for yourself. Go deep on the research. Watch DMT, the spirit molecule. I can give you links to retreats that you can go to, perfectly legal retreats that you can fly out to. If you guys are interested, let me know, right? So we can go as deep as you want to on this stuff. Obviously, I got to be really careful. Coaching calls are the best to go deep. I am, again, not advocating the use of any substances whatsoever, let alone illegal substances. I would never tell you to do that. So anyway, this is AMA number 85, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed this little deep dive here. And thank you for all the thoughtful comments. This stuff is great. I appreciate it. I love talking about this stuff. I could talk about it for weeks. I love it. It's been a huge part of my personal self-growth. So thank you guys for listening. AMA number 85. Turn off the screens. It's super late now. We got to go to bed, everybody. It's bedtime. It's past my bedtime. I'm back into my house tomorrow for one night, and then another Airbnb guest checks in the very next day. So yeah, I got to figure out this thing and buy a new house or something. Anyway, thank you guys so much. This is a really fun one. I love these AMAs. I thank you so much for being here. I love you guys. I appreciate it. Anything you need, you know where to find me, guys. You know where to find me by now. If you want to work with me one-on-one, iamclovis.com/start, START. And I would be remiss to not mention the Perfect Paleo Powder sale at iamclovis.com. They will sell out 100%, as you have seen. All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Good night. Bye.